Alright, hello guys, how's it going? Today's video we're going to be going over our exciting April 2020 forecast. I'm very excited to bring this one to you guys. Now, before I get started with this video though, I would ask that you do subscribe if you do like weather related content, and also make sure to share this video with your friends, family, and social media. Now, for today's comment of the day, I want to know which month of the year has your favorite weather if you had to choose. Mine, I would say, has to be maybe January, but let me know what you think. Alright, let's get right into things. So we're going to be talking about our precipitation forecast here first off, and for the southeast you can see we are expecting, well, for the southeast, Ohio Valley, and a little bit of the mid-Atlantic as well, I guess the south central United States and some of the plains as well. All of these areas in this lighter green shade are expecting a slightly above average precipitation at least. And what's really going to happen here is this is going to lead to general storminess, I believe. Not a lot of huge low pressure systems that bring widespread rain. It's going to be a lot more of thunderstorms, especially later in the month, thunderstorms and showers, things like that. So some counties might not be above average, but that's if you miss a thunderstorm and if you get hit by a thunderstorm, because there will be above average thunderstorms, then you will be above average. So it's going to be very, very, the numbers are going to fluctuate a lot there. So just keep that in mind. In the spring forecast, it gets a little bit more complicated. Now, we even have a second layer here, and this one, I do expect possibly we will have some low pressure systems come through the northern Gulf states, through portions of the western mid-Atlantic. We also see some of the Ohio Valley, and then areas like Missouri and Arkansas as well. This is also where I'm expecting a lot of severe weather to occur. We are going to have our severe weather forecast kind of towards the middle later portion of this video, so stay tuned for that as well. But that is an area where I'm kind of having some concerns that we're going to have some severe weather potentially. Alright, now we're about to move on, and we're going to talk about another region with some above average precipitation, and then we'll get into our below average precipitation regions. So first things first, here's our second area with some above average precipitation, and this is our slightly above average precipitation region. We are expecting some general storms to come through for the Rockies here, and then in through some of the states in the northern central plains is what I'd call it, I guess. Nebraska, South Dakota, North Dakota, and then the very eastern regions of Wyoming and Montana as well. All of these areas are going to be slightly above average as far as precipitation is concerned. The models were a little less confident in this area, seeing above average precipitation. The mean average is that there would be slightly above average precipitation, but some models weren't really on board with that. So that one's a little less confident. The southeast, all the models were in great agreement that we would have above average precipitation for that region. Alright, now we have a below average precipitation region here, right just next door to our above average region, and this is going to be for coastal Washington, coastal Oregon, and then northwest region of California as well. This is all just going to be slightly below average precipitation. Again, this is another one that's a little lower confidence. We did have a couple models thinking we would be a lot closer to average in this region, but we had a far greater amount of models saying, well, we're going to have below average precipitation for that region. So the general consensus here is that we're going to be dealing with some below average precipitation for the Pacific Northwest, specifically the more coastal regions of the Pacific Northwest. Now we're about to move on and talk about another region where I'm expecting some below average precipitation, and then we're going to get into that very exciting temperature forecast. Alright, so here for the northeast, mostly the New England and upstate New York region, I am expecting some below average precipitation here, slightly below average at least. The confidence is pretty good here that we will be dealing with some closer to normal, if not below average precipitation. Further to your south, obviously, we're dealing with the above average precipitation. But it's going to move much more in a zonal pattern. It's not going to make its way up the coast. So I think that in New England, we will be a little bit more dry than what is typically expected. And I thought about adding this region also up for a portion of the Great Lakes as well, but I think they will be closer to normal. Just keep that in mind that we might be on the drier side for the Great Lakes, but I wasn't confident enough in that to add that as a shade or anything. So that's why that is the way it is. Alright, now we're about to start talking about our temperature forecast here, and first things first, we have our above average temperature region, and this is mostly there for the mid-Atlantic, portions like Kentucky, Tennessee, Missouri, and Arkansas as well. We see some of the Gulf states getting involved in this, and then even down through the south central United States and even some of the southern Four Corner states. All of this is going to be slightly above average as far as temperatures are concerned, so I am expecting more warmer than normal conditions for a lot of these regions, and that's how it's pretty much been for months and months and months. There's a saying in meteorology, and it's the trend is our friend. What has happened in months past is very, very likely to reoccur. The models are agreeing with this, and also this would go along with what has happened in months past. So I'm very, very confident that some of the Gulf states in the Mid-Atlantic, we will be dealing with at least slightly above average temperatures for a lot of these regions in this orangish shade. Now we're about to add a second layer to that and then start talking about our below average temperatures as well, and then we will get into our severe weather forecast. Alright, so here's that second layer, and we're much more confident in this more southern region, so that's why they're getting a second layer. Also, it seems like it'll be even more moderately above average temperatures. Again, months past would definitely agree with that. Keep in mind in this warmer than normal area, for the first week or so, or maybe even a little bit less, we will be dealing with a little bit of a cool down. So you might be thinking in the first, I would say, 3 to 7 days of April, you might be thinking, what? He said it was going to be warmer than normal. Just wait, we're going to be dealing with a little bit of a negative NAO, which is a teleconnection, which does lead to brief cooldowns, but that looks to go positive after this very, very brief negative spell with the NAO, so I'm very confident that we will see the warm return for the Gulf states and portions of the Mid-Atlantic as well, so just wait on that. It might not even be that far below normal here for the beginning of April. Now, let's get into the below average temperatures, and this is a region where we expect it'll be a lot more consistent with the cold, and that's going to be for most of the Rockies there, in through portions of the plains, and even the upper Midwest there. All of these light blue regions will be at least slightly below average temperatures. We're expecting consistent kind of like Arctic blasts. Obviously, those will be more potent towards the beginning of the month and then later in the month as we head closer and closer and warmer on the average temperatures. Those will become a little less potent as time moves on, but I do expect those will be quite consistent. Here's our second layer of below average temperatures, and that's going to be mostly for Montana, Wyoming, in northern Colorado, and then we see even the western portions of Nebraska, South Dakota, and North Dakota being included in that moderately below average region as well. Alright, now let's take a brief look at our severe weather forecast, and this was actually for my spring forecast. I'm sticking with this one. I think April will reflect what we were calling for on the entire spring forecast anyway, so I decided to reuse this map because this is exactly what I'm thinking for the month of April alone as well. In the pink area, I'm expecting general thunderstorms will be above average, and also with that brings the chance for above average severe weather, but mostly in that deeper red, more cherry red color is where I'm expecting the more above average severe weather. That's what we've been dealing with throughout March, and I'm expecting that to continue through the month of April as well. Alright, now here was our severe weather we've had so far this year. I just wanted to show this because this reflects that map quite nicely, just to show that forecast for where our most severe weather would be has been doing very, very nicely. You can see almost all of the reports are actually at least within our pink region, and then that red region has had a lot of the tornadoes this year so far as well. Alright, now we're about to move on and get into our overall forecast where I can give you guys a more, a more specific description of what the weather will be like in your region. Alright, so here it is, and we're going to work our way from west to east, and I'll just be going over this with you guys, taking it region by region, helping to kind of describe what I mean by most of these. You can see up there for the Pacific Northwest, more dry than normal, that is, and really, you saw that on the precipitation forecast as well. It's going to be a little bit more dry than what is normal. You will still be seeing precipitation because the Pacific Northwest does get a lot of rain, so even though it will be more dry, that does not mean that it will be dry in general at all times. We see down there for California, I think we're going to have a flip-flop pattern. That's what's been going on for months there. We've been seeing times with precipitation now, even times with thunderstorms, and then more dry periods. So I think it's going to flip-flop, go back and forth. That's what I mean by that. There is a gray area just to the east of California, and that's kind of where we're not really seeing anything too far from normal. So that's going to be our very, very close to normal region. And then there for the Rockies and areas nearby, winter continues, and that's very, very typical for this time of year. April is still winter time for there. If you live there, you know. We see to the east of that, we see late season Arctic blasts. I touched on that a little bit earlier in our temperature forecast, but I do expect that we will see Arctic blasts for that region. Remember, earlier in the month, it'll be a lot more potent because the average temperature is lower, but then as we head into the later portion of the month, it will become a little bit warmer. To the south of that, we see warmer than normal conditions for the south central United States. We even see our severe weather region in the red there. That's where I'm expecting the most severe weather to occur, but outside of that, severe weather can still obviously occur as well. To the north, we see cold early for that purple region. I'm expecting the earlier portion of the month, again, maybe thinking the first week or maybe a little bit more, could be a little bit colder than normal, but afterwards we will see a return of the warmth. And then for the southeast, we see warm and stormy, especially after the first week of April. All right, now for today's comment of the day, I asked you guys, have you ever experienced a hurricane firsthand? And YouthRaz, sorry if I'm saying your name wrong, said they were hit directly by Hurricane Irma. They lived in Tampa, Florida, and actually none of the houses in their neighborhood had any damage and they didn't lose power. And I thought that story was interesting because it goes to show that down there they build these houses specifically for hurricanes to be able to withstand it. And I think that's an awesome story of obviously a positive story because nothing bad happened to them, fortunately. Anyway, guys, thank you so much for watching this video. Again, be sure to share it with your friends, family, and social media. I will see you guys in the next video.